Good morning, guys. I think episode 5 should start with a wee bit of a competition. So I'm sure some of you may well already have guessed what this gull wing door belongs to, but many won't. And if you can tell me what kind of car it is, one of the correct answers will win a Super-dooper limited edition JimmyGlen Hoodie. If you don't know what that is, if you head over to our Facebook page, you'll not be long in finding out. JimmyGlen Cars on Facebook. Anyway, back to episode 5. I'm on the way into the garage in this little race rocket, which, in case you hadn't already heard, does come with turbo noises. Anyway, we're on the way in. Usual rules apply. I've got no idea what the guys have got set out for me, but we'll find out very shortly. I'll catch up with you in 2 minutes when we get to the garage. About there. Like I said. 9,000. You don't need a GT3 to go 9,000 RPM. You just need one of these. Let's see what we've got. What have we got for episode 5? Let's have a wee nose. Last episode I said this wasn't my brand. Yeah, this is. Absolutely. We have multiple cylinders again. Look guys, this bottom lock is always a tricky one. I need to give it a wee shugo. Everybody's office has got a wee shugo somewhere along the line. Anyway, as I was saying, this one has multiple cylinders. It has a turbocharger. The only time so far that we've had multiple cylinders was when we had a supercharger, but on this particular episode we have turbo. And here it is. Let's get the lights on and have a look around. We sell quite a lot of these, and it's little wonder. BMW are probably going to be one of the last manufacturers to make such a car, in my humble opinion. Who else makes a 6-cylinder turbocharged rear wheel drive wee beastie like an M135, or in this case an M140? Even the new M135 has gone to a 4-pot, which I'm pretty sure is the same engine that you get in a mini JCW, which, fine, I mean, it's effective, but a 6-pot. I mean, this is essentially a 5-door practical Supra. I think we can see that. This car also has a limited slip differential, which is one of the things that probably let this car down when you're driving them reasonably hard. You get the old one tyre fire, but not in this car. So anyway, let's take you a walk round. Let's see what it looks like. You know what it looks like anyway, but that's how we start. Then we'll get out on the road and see just what this thing performs like, and of course what it sounds like. Guys, just hold the bus. Before we go anywhere, we must do a cold start. Let's do it. This is a completely standard car. No modifications other than the M4 limited slip differential. Listen to that. Only car in this bracket, this segment that can rival that scenario. And I still can't make my mind up. So, let's get out this thing. I have a feeling this is going to be my favourite yet. I must confess, I do like a BMW. It may not be the flashiest inside, they may not have the most dramatic body designs. Obviously the new G20s kind of changed that, but certainly this generation. But what they always deliver is a drive really like nothing else. Anyway, we'll cut it from being sort of generalised BMW chat to M140 chat, which we are in at this moment in time. So just give you a quick rundown on this car. It's a 2017. It's done 37,000 miles. Spec wise, it's got some nice bits. It's got Hammond Cardin, electric memory seats, full nav, which is pretty much the kind of main things you'd like. But what it does have is an absolute nuclear power plant of an engine. These cars come standard with 300 and... See, I thought it was 320 horsepower, but Spencer tells me it's 360. This proves that I really don't do any research for these videos. That being said, we've sold enough of these that I should know. What I do know, pardon my language, is they go like fuck. There's no other term for how these cars go, and I know I'll probably lose some brownie points on YouTube for swearing, but my god, they are so quick. Then you get the guys that tune them. It's not hard to get 480 brake horsepower out of these, and having driven quite a few standard cars, I don't really see the need, to be honest. And one of the things that the guys struggle with when they do start turning them up is traction, because you can't get a big enough tyre on them. But what will help is a diff, which this car has, as I mentioned a few times. So I don't know if we'll get a chance to drive it properly to see, you know, to demonstrate how the diff works on a video, because you would really need to go to a track to see exactly just what you're getting for your £2,000. But what you will get is predictability, because you know exactly what the two back wheels attached to the rear axle are going to do every single time. You know, you're going to get full lockup on acceleration. You will get lockup on deceleration as well, which when you're driving the car pretty hard should make it nice and predictable on the way into the turn. Downsides, the inside's pretty flat. I mean, we've got pretty basic levels of trim in here. Got a nice wee bit of piano black in the dashboard. Everything works though. You know, we've got dual zone climate. This one's got the bigger screen on for the navigation. Two nice big clear analog clocks. Same as the Focus from last week, but they were smaller and kind of stuffed down into the corners and look quite old-fashioned. These are nice, clear, big binnacles right in front of your face. We've got black panel display in this one, which gives additional information like your MPG read out digitally. We've got a wee illuminated M140i emblem on the dash, which is a nice touch, and then obviously you can flick through and you get your average miles per gallon, all that kind of stuff. When you've got the navigation on, your turn directions come up on the bottom of the dash, and if someone phones you, the same, and when you're flicking through your playlist, it comes up on the dashboard as well. Let's talk about the thing that I love to talk about, and I have actually noticed with some regularity that I do seem to talk about these for quite a bit. Steering wheel. This is my favourite steering wheel of pretty much of all time, and by the way, you could really feel the diff there coming off that roundabout. That was fourth, loading up nice. I'm trying to let the car come up to temperature before we start giving it the beans. I really need to keep my two hands in the steering wheel, because every time Julie, my wife, watches one of these videos, I get hot in the I get a dig every time I take my hands off the steering wheel. So I'll need to learn to keep my hands firmly planted at the 10 to 2 position. Yeah, it's just a lovely wheel. It's got nice slender spokes. It's not big and chunky. It's just the right girth as well. It's like another traffic jam. I'll edit this out and I'll be back in a tick. That wasn't too painful. Yeah, so nice paddles from the back. Got a nice weight to them as well. Sometimes paddles can feel a wee bit plasticky, a bit clicky. These are just nice. These paddles operate, without shadow of a doubt, the best automatic gearbox ever to be produced so far, and that is the ZF 8-speed. I've let the traffic, feel light on, I've let the traffic get ahead a wee bit. Let's get into Sport Plus to get the traction off, and we'll see if that diff's doing its job. Down into second gear, 30 miles an hour, and give it the beans. know, see if that performance was delivered in a 40 or a 50,000 pound sports car, you would have nothing to complain about. You really wouldn't. The sound is, I know that there's a little bit of something coming in through the in through the speakers. There has to be, but at the same time, you can hear the real, genuine, organic, straight-6 turbo noise out the back. This car does have the M Performance exhaust, which just gives it a bit more of a voice. But if you buy a car that's completely stock, you won't be disappointed. Let's do that again. That's bloody spectacular. Oh man. Yeah. Smiling like this at 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, even so, let's see what it's like kind of applying the throttle sensibly, 2000 RPM in 4th gear. The pickup's just, it's everywhere in the revs, absolutely everywhere. Right, down the country road, some nice burbling in the background on the overrun, nothing ridiculous. Sometimes these things can get a bit overwhelming, get to see up a wee bit. Let's see how she goes down this road. It has enormous brakes, which I am pretty glad of, quite thankful for. And by the way, not just on the front, on the back as well. So every single gear, it's just as fast as the one that went before it. This is spectacular. It really is. Bit of ABS here. You look up the hill. Go. Wow. If I'm going right, okay, so obviously I need to get over the holy shit, this is really, really quick. It's putting the power down better than any other M140 that I've ever driven. And now you can send it so fast. I could actually say that, could it be a bit stiffer? I really need to pick a better back road. It's just because I've only got limited time to do these before work. But you know, this is a lumpy, bumpy back road, as I've always said, and it's handling it pretty well. It's a wee bit jiggly. We'll just slow down through this narrow bit. The B58, I mean, Christ, how it found its way into just a 5-door hatchback. I mean, as I said earlier on, who makes cars like these anymore? No one. This is the end. For that reason, I personally think these cars are going to be absolutely rock solid. They'll take a wee bit of dip just initially, but see, trying to get a good one of these in a few years' time, I really think you'll need to pay through the nose for them, because they are so good, so special. They make such a good noise, they've got such a good gearbox, and if you want, the tuning potential is just through the roof. With our second warning for even lower fuel, I'm glad I'm heading back to the garage now. That being said, I mean, I'm obviously out hooning about in this. You put these cars in Eco Pro mode, go a long run, you will get north of 35 miles per gallon. I've even had some customers report they can get 40 miles to the gallon on a long run. I mean, that is literally your cake and eat it. Performance at this level usually comes at a cost, and when you're out having copious amounts of fun in it, obviously you expect to pay. But when you're just going to work, going to visit friends, going on holiday, it's nice to have the option to just dial it all back and see some decent fuel economy returned. Reliability again, the only thing I've heard about these B58s is, believe it or not, the oil filter itself, the element, can collapse when you're doing a service, so you need to be careful. because if it collapses inside the oil filter housing, it's a new oil filter housing at £2,500. If you are going to get somebody to do the service for you, if they know what they're doing, they will make you aware of that before they carry out the service. You can take the oil filter housing off and clean it, put it back on again, but there is always that small chance that some of the oil filter fragments could remain and then go into the engine. Other than that, we have heard of 0 failures, and that's taking into account the amount of these cars that end up tuned. So that's us back at my wee photo point, so I can go out and do some B-roll of it. Just in case I left you in any doubt, these cars are like off the scale good. The looks aren't going to be for everyone. I mean, an RS3 looks better. Even the ST last week has got more of a shouty appearance. All intents and purposes, take the extra pipe off the back, this could be a 116i M Sport. A lot of people like that. I quite like that. I think that the element of surprise is enormous in this car. You can live with a rather budget interior, because what you need to remember, it's a budget BMW. It is the entry level model fitted with an absolute atomic weapon of an engine that, thanks to the differential in this car, you can use. Don't get me wrong, you can use a fair bit of it in the non-LSD car, but you do get a wee bit of kind of the one tyre fire, which is a little bit of a letdown. So yeah, in summary, pretty much get one while you can, because being the last of this type of creation, a Straight-6 hatchback producing enormous amounts of power with such a glorious soundtrack, it's over. We're back to 4 cylinders. We're back to the endless downsizing has now reached one of the best hatchbacks I think you can buy. So that brings me on to my request, guys. If you have enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate if you subscribe. If you don't agree with any parts of the video, or if you do agree wholeheartedly and you want to let me know, please leave it in the comments. And I'll see you next week for episode 6. Let's see what the guys set out for me next Thursday.